Does Professor Black have children of his own? Poor things if he does.
My parents were thrilled to hear that Black was being put in charge. Our families have been friends for centuries.
I'm glad there's a Slytherin in charge of the school, willing to make the hard decisions.
Whoever decided to make Professor Black headmaster of Hogwarts must have been the victim of a flock of whoopers. Out of their mind.
Do you suppose Black's children are as condescending and ill-tempered as he is?
I doubt there's ever been a headmaster as hated.
The headmaster hates everyone who isn't a pureblood Slytherin.
I thought about transferring to both Battens just to get away from Professor Black and his iron fist. But then I remembered that I don't speak French.
Why are we only learning all the boring potions? When are we learning Felix Felicis? Knowing Sharp, he'll probably teach it after we've done our exams.
I need someone to lend me some potions ingredients. Don't give me that look. I told you before I was only musing about...
As far as I can see, the only potion worth learning is Sleeping Draught. Best timed for history of magic.
I don't find potions bearable at all. And if it's double potions, I question whether I wouldn't just rather be a muggle.
I had an awful time in potions the other day. Someone had scribbled all over the pages of my book of potions. The margins were as black as soot. And it was a copy from library. Scribner's going to have me for that. Why study in the common room when you could be outside in the fresh air? I'd rather be in the courtyard than a musty old library any day.
I like sitting around the fire in the common room after a long day, especially if we've had potions. Much cozier than the Great Hall.
While I remember, don't forget to give me that book on ancient runes. Or in case I don't see you...
If you ask any Hufflepuff, they'll tell you there's a badger in their common room.
Nothing worse than students practicing jinxes on each other in the common room. Can't take a step for fear of having your legs turned to jelly.
I haven't been down to the boathouse since arriving in my first year. Perhaps I'll pay a visit.
Got a peek at the prefect's bathroom last year. I'd missed class for a week to soak in that tub.
Hogwarts always has another mystery to discover. If I don't find a way to concentrate, I'll fail my owls for certain.
I adore spending sunny afternoons in the viaduct courtyard. Wonderful place to practice Accio on other students' books.
My favourite room in the school is the library. It always smells of fresh parchment.
Pete was in a mood the other day. Tossed my quill right on Scribner's desk. Now I have detention for a week. It's about time Hogwarts put someone like Black in charge. Perhaps now we can stop all these disgusting mudbloods from ruining the school.
Whoever decided to make Professor Black headmaster of Hogwarts must have been the victim of a flock of whoopers. Out of their mind.
I thought Professor Black would get rid of all the Muggle-born students. Too much to hope for, I suppose.
I doubt there's ever been a headmaster as hated as Black.
Does Professor Black have children of his own? Poor things if he does.
Powers should be kept in the oldest pureblood families, like the Blacks. Wouldn't want riffraff running things. That's what my mother says. I'm glad there's a Slytherin in charge of the school, willing to make the hard decisions.
Do you suppose Black's children are as condescending and ill-tempered as he is?
I thought about transferring to both...
If only Black had the power to choose the other professors too, then we could get rid of Muggle-borns like garlic. I'd spend the entire day in Hogsmeade if I could.
My friends and I lose track of the time whenever we're at the Three Broomsticks. Nearly missed exams one year, we were so engrossed in our butterbeers.
Anyone fancy going to Brood and Peck with me? I've been wanting to go for ages. My friend said they have very high quality feathers, and I need one for my jobberknoll.
We're quite fortunate the school's so close to Hogsmeade. There's nothing like it in all of Britain, you know. About the only place that doesn't come with the risk of encountering a muggle.
I'm saving up for a new broom. Reckon I'll be going for the Yew-Weaver, or possibly a Silver Arrow. Albie Weeks says he'll give me a good price on one too.
If it's seeds I'm after, I'll always go to the Magic Neep. I've upset Madam Green one too many times now. She won't soon be welcoming me back to Dogweed and Deathcap.
Perhaps you can meet me after herbology and show me how I'm supposed to do that thing with the soil? I'm sure Garlic wouldn't mind us going to one of the greenhouses to practice.
I think Diffindo should be taught in the first year. Why stave off the mayhem?
Personally, I think if the thing you're best at is herbology, it means you're soft-hearted.
I don't mind herbology myself. I'll take a mandrake any day over an annoying little puffskein.
I'll trade you a spoon's worth of flubberworm mucus for a pufferpod. I wish Hogwarts would teach us how to become agent. They do at Wagadoo. I'd be a niffler. Stock up on galleons.
Professor Sharp terrifies me. He glanced sideways at me last week and I almost dropped an entire flobberworm into my cauldron.
There's simply too much information if you ask me. Surely it's not all necessary. Next thing you know, they'll be teaching us about muggles.
At least you didn't do what that first year did. Spent hours collecting Dittany only to find it was old weeds.
I never thought I'd actually enjoy herbology, but Professor Garlic makes it so interesting. She's forgotten more than I'll ever know about mandrakes.
I'd never have a harsh word to say about her. I, for one, could stay here forever. Better than where I'm from.
My aunt says I should get to Hogsmeade as often as I can. Says it's good to get out of the castle sometimes.
I prefer the Three Broomsticks to the Hog's Head. Sirona's a much better conversationalist than Jasper Trout.
I'd spend the entire day in Hogsmeade if I could.
The last time I was at Dogweed and Deathcap, Madam Green had everything from Dittany seeds to shrivel figs. Just be careful not to upset her though, or she might set a venomous tentacular on you.
If I had to pick one shop, it would be Gladrags. Mr. Hill is always very helpful, don't you find?
Anyone fancy going to Brood and Peck with me? I've been wanting to go for ages. My friend said they have very high quality feathers, and I need one for my jobberknoll. Can't remember why.
If it's seeds I'm after, I'll always go to the Magic Neep. I've upset Madam Green one too many times now. She won't soon be welcoming me back to Dogweed and Deathcap.
I'm going to have my own telescope one day. I've already decided that Jupiter's my favorite planet.
Rumor is, Professor Hecat used to work for the Ministry. Or wonder what she did.
Some think Professor Shah is hard to read, but I find her as easy to read as a star chart. She has no patience for time wasting.
It was perfect for stargazing the other night. Not a cloud in the sky. I've never seen the heavens so clear. Do you think that's a bad omen?
I wish they'd let Ronan teach the entire curriculum. Charms is the only class I can stay awake for.
Ronan certainly employs creative teaching methods. While I don't always enjoy his games, I can admire the enthusiasm.
It's awful if you're sat near someone and they're trying to pass notes about. Half the time I get the blame, and Hecat has no tolerance for that, I can tell you.
Sharp was in a mood the other day. Not a single student got their sleeping draft right, and he vanished the contents of every cauldron in the room with one cast. Whoever decided to make Professor Black headmaster of Hogwarts must have been the victim of a flock of whoopers. Out of their mind.
My parents were thrilled to hear that Black was being put in charge. Our families have been friends for centuries.
I thought Professor Black would get rid of all the Muggle-born students. Too much to hope for, I suppose.
It's about time Hogwarts put someone like Black in charge. Perhaps now we can stop all these disgusting mudbloods from ruining the school.
powers should be kept in the oldest pureblood families, like the Blacks. Wouldn't want riffraff running things. That's what my mother says.
I doubt there's ever been a headmaster as hated as Black. Dubious honor indeed.
I'm glad there's a Slytherin in charge of the school, willing to make the hard decisions.
I thought about transferring to both Battens just to get...
I don't know about demiguises, but Howin had me on hot bricks the other day, telling us about her colleague who befriended a griffin. I put my hand up and said we had a griffin come by our street once and tried to get our rabbit. My sister had to run out after it, throwing stones till it flew off. I thought Howin would be impressed, but oh, the glare. She said you never meddle with dangerous beasts. If you ask me, she's the dangerous beast.
Defense against the dark arts can be intimidating.
Can't decide if I like Professor Weasley or Professor Hecat more. Hecat. No, Weasley. Ugh, they're both brilliant.
I wonder if you learn different things about astronomy at Ouagadougou. Although I can't see anyone being as passionate about it as Shah.
Sometimes I'm not fully sure if Ronin's teaching us a spell or having a practice himself. Don't you find? It's genuinely questionable as to whether the man's at Hogwarts to steer the next generation or to become the next Uric the Oddball.
I'm going to have my own telescope one day.
I'd die of embarrassment if my mother taught at Hogwarts. Don't know how Natty manages.
I still can't believe that girl wrote her essay on shrinking solutions and thought it would be clever to shrink it before handing it in.
I wouldn't say Professor Howin has a particular affinity for beasts, but she's certainly knowledgeable. I imagine that's why she teaches the class.
Sometimes you can find some quite interesting things in the library.
If we were simply taught antidotes to common poisons, I truly think that would be enough to get us through life.
Forgot to read the chapter for potions today. Wish I had a potion to remind myself to do my homework.
I wonder if it's even quieter in the restricted section of the library. And what would happen if you made a noise?
I bet all the answers to everything are in the restricted section. I think it should be a special treat in Year 5 that you get to go into it.
I certainly make sure I stay abreast of my homework. Teachers don't like it if you fall behind, especially Weasley. Sometimes the prefect sits next to me. Well, one time they did, in the common room. Mind you, it was the only seat left, and I did ask them to.
I'd imagine the Hufflepuff common room smells the most delicious on account of it being so close to the kitchens.
I suspect most Slytherins would prefer not to be in a dungeon, myself.
You can always tell the first-year Hufflepuffs. Reek of vinegar.
I'd wager the Hufflepuff common room's the coziest of them all. Simply the fact that it's so close to the kitchens makes it seem more homely.
I bet Garlic had a say in it. Why else would it be the only common room with...
Every time I'm there, everyone falls asleep. I don't think that's what a common room is for.
If you lean forward on your broom just right, you can get an incredible burst of speed.
I don't like flying on a broom. I prefer the safety of a thestral-drawn carriage. Nothing wrong with that.
The best way to learn how to fly a broomstick is by trial and error. In my case, it was a lot of error.
I was destined to be a glorious beater if Quidditch hadn't been cancelled this year. I was.
I hope I'm wealthy enough one day to buy every broom model at Spintwitch's.
Broomsticks are going out of style, I think. So many other ways to travel now. I heard that Professor Binns died one night and showed up to class the next morning as if nothing had happened. I don't think he even knows he's a ghost.
At least you didn't